Hi everybody, this is Denise, your Area 50 Western New York Panel 72 delegate to the General Service Conference. In this section, I'll be going through the committee considerations and the one committee recommendation from the Treatment and Accessibilities Committee. The first committee consideration for this committee was to review a report on updating the existing pamphlet, AA for the Older Alcoholic, which began its process of being updated in 2019. The committee reviewed the report and asked for a report to come back in 2023. Secondly, the committee reviewed a report on audio interviews with the military and suggested to the committee and the consultants that are working on that particular project to reach out to senior military leadership and requesting interviews from AA members in various military branches and get a kind of a wider distribution. And thirdly, the committee reviewed a report on a new set of guidelines, which is a service material from the General Service Office for remote communities, and suggested to continue to use cultural terminologies, positive sharing on sponsorship, and expand the section on online resources to make the service piece available based on those updates. The next committee consideration was based on the standing agenda items that this committee review both of its workbooks and kits, one for accessibilities and one for treatment, and suggested that we secure sharing experience from AA members for the accessibilities workbook from AA members who have service animals. Secondly, the committee encouraged GSO to continue to work with digital approaches for publishing so that changes can be made quickly and efficiently, and we can update workbooks and kits very easily, as well as print versions. And third, the committee considered, and this was under one of the equitable distribution of workload items, which came from the literature committee, and that request was to remove the sentence, "Nobody has ever died of lack of sleep," in the section, "Getting plenty of rest," from our book, Living Sober. And the committee took no action on this. And what the committee did note was that the section includes a comment later in the chapter which says, if the condition persists, it may be advisable to check with a good physician who understands alcoholism well. And finally, the recommendation that came out of this committee was based on the review of a request to put the long form of Tradition 5, which is each Alcoholics Anonymous group ought to be a spiritual entity having but one primary purpose, that of carrying its message to the alcoholic who still suffers. And the request was to add that to the pamphlet, the AA group, on page 12 in the section, "What is an AA group?" at its next printing. So the committee recommended that we do this. It went to the floor for a vote. And I will note that we did talk about this in both our pre-conference assembly, where in person there was substantial unanimity for not doing this, and online there was nearly substantial unanimity for not doing this. But on the other hand, in the delegates questionnaire, the 35 groups that responded to this, of those that went through and got an informed group conscience on this item, there was just short of support for adding this. And so when it came to the vote, I did vote yes on this because I based on the delegates questionnaire and also based on the trust of that committee. And the vote was substantially to approve this, with 117 votes yes and 3 votes no. So at the next printing, that long form of Tradition 5 will be added to page 12. If you have any questions on the 72nd General Service Conference or on the work of this committee, please contact me at p72delegate@area50wny.org. And finally, I wish to thank you for the chance to serve Area 50 and AA as a whole.